Hey folks, welcome back to Ndaba Africa. This is Chris. How's everybody doing out there? Something's not right here. Where's my logo at? Where is it? Oh, that's why it's here. Let's fix that real quick. There you go. There it is. Welcome. Wherever you find yourself around the world today, welcome to Chris Wyatt Africa on the Ndaba Africa channel. Glad to see everybody there. That's how my sound is good. Sounds deep and rich and lovely. Anyway, folks. Reminder to not go off. Yeah, I am actively being screwed over by YouTube. It's quite obvious. But thanks to all the 35 of you who are here at the moment. Clearly, notifications are not going out. This was not a stream that I scheduled and put it up just a few minutes before. I scheduled the stream a good hour and a half ago, and my video looks like it's behind again. Give me a second, folks. I'm going to shut it down and restart my video. Please be patient. Should still be able to hear me on the microphone because I can talk. You should be able to hear me. Yeah, you can hear me. Wow, I never looked better. Here we go. All right, let's see what happens. Come back up here. All right, folks. Hey, there's Robin. Let's see, the Black Bandits. Hi, Black Bandits. That's a new name I haven't seen before. Ooh, that's hideous. All right, come on, adjust. It should adjust any moment. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again. Welcome back once again to Ndaba Africa. Okay, there we go. Hey, folks, wherever you find yourself today, if you find yourself somewhere in Newfoundland, or Newfoundland, as some of us say, or New Brunswick, up there in the northeastern part of Canada. Hey, Canada. Maybe you're in New England, in Maine, or New Hampshire, or perhaps a little further to the east, Iceland, the Orkneys, Norway. Work our way down. What about the Faroe Islands? I forgot about the Faroe Islands. Scotland, Ireland, Northern Ireland, Wales, England, or the Republic of Ireland on the Emerald Isle. Maybe you're on mainland Europe in Spain, Portugal, Slovenia, where the First Lady was born. That's right, Melania Trump, ladies and gentlemen. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Last night I did a live stream on the Republican National Convention, and I will do it again tonight and tomorrow. Tonight, the headline speaker is Vice President Mike Pence. Tomorrow, of course, it will be the nominee, President Donald J. Trump. So I'll be covering that, feeding the stream, and offering commentary as we go along. Last night was pretty interesting. For those of you in Asia, whether it's in Nepal, are you out there? Authentic Max in Nepal? What about in Taiwan, Thailand, South Korea, Japan, even China? Andre Jacobs, are you here from China? New Zealand, Kiwis, are you out there? Are there any Kiwis in the house, or Australia? Well, folks, a little closer to home in Africa, let's say hello to everybody in Ghana, as well as Gabon, Guinea, the Gambia. That's G's, using the G's there. The warm heart of Africa down in Malawi. Welcome in Malawi, or in the e-commerce capital of Africa, Eswatini. That's right, the former Swaziland. The place where the king gets to do the reed dance every year. Well, he doesn't do it, but he gets to pick fair young maidens to be his next bride. Welcome from Eswatini, Lesotho, the mountain kingdom where the Basotho people held off against all enemies up in the mountains in their redoubts. And to Botswana, Dumela, Botswana, in Namibia. Well, folks, Guten Tag. And in South Africa, Goeiedag, Sawubona, South Africa. Good to see you all. Welcome in, everybody. Let's say hello to everybody in the chat really quickly and see what's going on here. All right, my camera looks good. The sound sounded rich and deep. That's good news. But I'm not staying current live on the feed on my watching. But that doesn't matter. It's what goes out that matters. So on the chat, let's see who's here. Jordan was here early. Futsar goes back. Hendo. Hey, Voltarians. The Black Bandits, hello. Robin. And Citizen Guardian, hey, Citizen Guardian, Terrence Lowry. Faye Hepburn in from Scotland. They can take our lives, but they can never take our freedom. William Wallace. Scotland. That's right. Beautiful up there in Scotland. Love it, I love it, love it. I like the Highlands more, of course. I've not spent much time in the Western Hebrides. Have been to Orkneys. Love the Orkneys. They're pretty windswept, but it's beautiful. Lots of Neolithic sites. They're amazing up there. And Robin is here. Hello, Robin. Teeny Landman, welcome. Ron von Raimond is back. Good to see you again. Vickers de Beer, hello. Totenkopf, Lars Solis, Ants. You like the full screen? Yeah, people are saying that. So I guess if you're on a mobile, and the reason I switched it, guys, is that I noticed that a lot of people are on mobiles who are watching this. So trying to get there. Slowly starting to sing along to the intro song, says Blues Pixie. Yeah, you pick it up, right? Die Tal ist in uns Blut, Afrikaans für uns Mensa. Yeah, you pick up the words. It comes along eventually. It's pretty cool. Sally Donaldson. Hi, Sally. I don't recall seeing you before. If I've missed you before, my apologies. If it's your first time here, welcome to Chris Wyatt Africa. where we discuss cogent conversations, topics of the day on geopolitics from around the world. Let's see else. Am I missed here? Blues Pixie, good to see you back. Kilometers per hour is here. Me to you. Namaste. Namaste to you. Yes, Indian is my favorite food. I don't speak any of the languages of India other than English, which of course is not an Indian language, but but Indians are Caucasian. They're white folks, just like me. Most of them have a little bit better tan than I do, but they are considered Caucasian or white. Gareth likes the shirt. Hey, Gareth, there you go. It's a Sharks jersey, ladies and gentlemen. And not the annoying one with the Mr. Price, but rather with the cell C. Why is it crooked? Am I standing crooked? Here we go. There you go. Ooh, there you go. All right. Yeah, so it's a Sharks jersey, ladies and gentlemen, for Super Rugby. Got the cell C logo here on the side. Looks like a copyright symbol. And over here is the Super Rugby jersey. Tian's got the shark emoji going there. Well done. Teeny's in the cold. Okay. Oh, good old RSA. Excuse me. Swearim DJ's in from the Netherlands. Welcome from the Netherlands. Didn't mean to forget you there. James Pretorius, what time does 3-day RNC start? It's 4-day RNC. Or day. Okay, what time does day 3 start? Well, there's stuff going on now, but in a normal convention, there'd actually be people there. There'd be meetings going on. They'd be doing clips all day. The networks are doing coverage in the evenings. So I will be doing my coverage around 8 or 9 p.m., probably 9 p.m. here in the U.S., so that'll be 3 a.m. in South Africa. It'll be tomorrow in New Zealand, Japan, and South Korea. And it will be 9 p.m. here. So it'll be 6 p.m. on Pacific time to catch some of the speakers like I did last night. Maybe the Sharks can pick up a decent company, but I'm drawing a blank right now. Not Mr. Price. Oh, that was terrible. I refused to buy a Sharks jersey when Mr. Price was on. That was hideous. It's an improvement, slight improvement on the Stormer shirt. Oh, Totenkopf. Them's fighting words, man. James Pretorius says, thanks, you're welcome. Hi, Swearim DJ. Hi fish. Hi fish is German for shark. Hi fish. So I thought you were saying that in Dutch. Pity Chelsea are so awful. Yeah, it is a shame. A lot of companies that are awful sponsor sports teams. Yeah, Lars Salas says, will you be streaming at 3 a.m.? I will, Lars Salas. I'll be covering the convention tonight. That'll be 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I haven't put up a promo banner for it, so I'll have 3 streams today. So this one, I'll do this one. Then we'll do the Night Owls edition a little bit later on. And then I will do the stream for the Republican National Convention. By the way, a handful of people tuned in. It was a really late hour in South Africa, as well as it was kind of late here in the U.S. But we had Tony Nagy come in from Canada. And you'll never guess, we had our little friends, the trolls, show up. Even though we had like 3 people in the stream, it was easy to identify who was misbehaving pretty quickly. Put them in a timeout, gave them 5 minutes, came right back with nonsense, and banned them from the channel. Anyway, so yeah, that was last night, folks. The stream is there. If you want to go watch it, you can check it out if you want to take a look at it. So we're almost at 50 folks on the stream right now, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you so much for tuning in. Let's see. What did I want to say? Well, interesting. I want to cover a little bit of my trip and share that with you guys today and see what your thoughts are. Let you know, just so you know what's in store for me coming up. But let me get here. I just want to check something and see. Now, my No Dop, No Zol video yesterday did well yesterday, but it's just fallen off a cliff today. I guess word got out that it was a parody, and I don't know. People don't like funny things. I don't know. Let's see. Leka and Met Yao. Going well, thanks. Let me see. So yesterday's... let's see the videos that most recently did. Just talk about those. Cape Town lockdown eviction declared illegal. 260 views. Thank you all, the 260 who watched it. The Wuhan pool party in Broglio. That was 347. The No Dop, No Zol. Say what? Is the tobacco ban back? Yeah, that was the little parody video I did yesterday. By the way, if it had been real, you had 3.5 hours warning to get out and buy things. Yeah, so it was it tailed off overnight, of course, like it was normal, but it's doing well. We're at 2,700 views on that, so thank you so much for that. I appreciate the viewing and the attention that you guys give the videos. My Cyril's Shaggy moment, where I sang "It Wasn't Me." Well, I wouldn't say I kind of rapped "It Wasn't Me." That one's doing well. Thank you guys for that. We're at 3,800 views on that one, so thanks a lot. I do appreciate it. Anyway. Yeah, more horrific things happening around the world, but let's try to stay away from that from the moment and talk about more positive things. What I want to do, folks, though, is share with you very quickly the trip, and so you know a little bit about that. I'll share that with you guys. That's not what I want. I'm trying to find a screen here. Just give me a moment. That's not the one either. Where is this? There we go. That's the screen I want. Okay, so This is who I'll be going and doing this with. So let me bring this up for you guys very quickly. Are you ready for this? All right. Where's my... Okay, I'm going to move this up here above me so that you guys can actually see it. Okay. There you go. All right, let me turn my logo down there because it's in the way. There we go. All right, so this is Wyoming's Catholic College, located in a town called Lander, Wyoming. It's a small liberal arts school that doesn't have a major. That all the students get degrees in the same sort of things. They study interesting topics. They have a great book core curriculum. And obviously, it caters to Catholics. I don't know if other folks are able to attend. I think they are, but I'll have to check and ask. But there you go. You can schedule a visit. Student life. Now, it's, as I said, in Lander, Wyoming. And so let me do the about here very quickly. What's interesting about this school is that it's very different. Here's their mission statement: mind, body, and spirit. This is all about that. That's what the goal is at Wyoming Catholic College. So Wyoming Catholic College forms students through a rigorous immersion in the primary sources of the classical liberal arts tradition, the grandeur of the mountain wilderness, and the spiritual heritage of the Catholic Church. Grounded in real experience and thoughtful reflection, our graduates love truth, think clearly, and communicate eloquently, engaging with the world as it is. Interesting. Not the world as we hope that it is. So that's the Wyoming Catholic College, who I'm going out there to be a cadre, a sort of instructor during this event. But no, I'm not Catholic, in case anybody's curious. But I am going out there, and I'm going to show you where we're going to be, folks. It's pretty high up in the mountains. Pretty amazing scenery, though. I'll show you a few shots of that so you can take a look at it. Lynn Duplessis is here. Hendo. I wish the world wasn't so PC. I'm with you on that one, Robin. Feeling better now. What's that? Okay. Promote your channel on your trip. Yeah, Hendo, I will do my best. There is cell phone coverage, but at that elevation, it can be spotty. I did talk to the organizers, and they told me that you can get coverage sometimes. Now, there's a sat phone in case somebody gets injured or a bear attacks. Somebody was asking me if I ever encountered bears. Well, guess what? There are bears in Demdare Woods. There will be bears out there. Anna Marie Forster, I missed you, and it was important. Anna Marie, did you put it at Chris? Ants, rather watch your stream than talk to CNN. Well, thank you, Ants. I appreciate that. Totenkopf. Anna Marie, you're just pulling my leg. You say that. Aha. There you go. Anna Marie Forster, you didn't put in at Chris. Now, how is that my fault that I miss you? Come on. Anna Marie has touched down. Roman made me so depressed today. Hope you're here to cheer it up. No, I'm here to cheer you guys up. We're going to talk about cool stuff. No Biancas or Karens in this discussion. 99% of the YouTube is on mobile. Yeah, that's what Teeny says. Yeah. Yeah, so I didn't miss you, Anna Marie. I couldn't see you. Didn't put the at Chris on there. Please don't say cadre. It makes me think of those other people. Ron von Reimann says, your Wuhan pool party, well-spoken. One positive point, though, left comments on such a level that decent left-wing people I know don't want to be associated with those. Yep. Rita Anderson, hello, welcome. Good evening. Good to see you there. Vikas De Beer, welcome back. Bianca would be triggered by all the white people on that website. No doubt. Bianca's. James Pretorius has been watching the RNC. What struck me, normal people delivering testimony, not Hollywood types. This will be effective to get Americans in the ballot box. Also mail-in balloting. Thoughts on that? Yeah, James, good questions. All right, so, but they do this all the time. Ordinary people at the conventions. I don't know if people watch them. The conventions used to be viewable. They used to be interesting. Lots of stuff happening. I even used to watch the Democratic National Convention because I found it interesting. Even though I've never voted for a single Democratic presidential candidate, I did learn about other Democratic politicians, some of whom I voted for in my own state later on. But the Democratic National Convention has been unwatchable since 2004. It was the last one that was viewable. Since then, it's just been this, we hate America. It's a terrible place. It's really racist, discrimination, wealth disparity. It's all a conspiracy of systemic racism. Debbie Downers would be the Democrats. Did you watch this Democratic National Convention? Oh, not a positive moment at all. The only thing positive said is that Joe will make it all better. Joe Biden, 47 years in Washington, D.C. Yeah, Joe Biden, that's right. He's going to be the agent of change. See, Donald Trump came to town having never served in the military, having never served in a political elected office his entire life. The first time that's happened in American political history, someone becomes president. Every single president prior to this had elected office or had served in the military, like General Eisenhower, General Grant. They never served in office, but they'd served as generals, and there's others. This is the first time in history that we had an outsider come in, and he came in, and boy, he shook things up, so much so that for the last 3 years, the swamp creatures have been clawing and digging and creating false narratives and misleading people all over the place. Is my voice off again? No, it looks all right. Anyway, so yeah, so Donald Trump was from the outside. What my thoughts on this convention and normal people? Well, last night was fascinating, ladies and gentlemen. If you caught any of it or you caught my live stream, I talked about an eighth generation Maine lobsterman, eighth generation, who was upset that the Obama administration set aside a huge swath of the Atlantic as protected marine areas off limits to fishing. Now, the lobster fishermen had never used it, but it left a situation in which it was obvious that they were trying to take more land and more water space away from fishermen and those who work in the waterways. Anyway, so Donald Trump came in, struck down that capricious executive order and federal regulation, and improved things for folks in the lobster industry. So he was very grateful, talked about it. Had a steel mill owner, a small steel company in Wisconsin, who talked about how the Obama administration's policies nearly destroyed his business, and they had to fire people to work for them for generations. The minute that Trump came in with a pen, wiping out stupid federal requirements, which did nothing to improve the environment, all it did was protect monopolies and foreign shippers into our country. He struck these things down with a pen, and the business was roaring before Corona, and now it's coming back once again. We saw a dairy farmer from Wisconsin, a woman, a business owner with 1,000 head of dairy cattle, who tragically lost their 120-year-old barn, burned to the ground. And they were in trouble during, the barn is different, but they were in trouble under the Obama administration's rules and efforts to drive farmers out of business. Her words, not mine. With Trump coming in, the economy picking up. Remember, Barack Obama famously said, we are past it, folks. The United States will never experience GDP growth again, annualized over 2%. Never again. Yet in the first quarter of Trump's administration, we surged past that already, over 3+% GDP growth, simply by removing barriers to conducting business, all put there by leftists whose intent is to make you and me dependent on them so they can have luxury houses, blue light escorts. Yes, we have blue light escorts in the U.S., just not as prevalent as South Africa and African countries. Yes, and they can have their privilege. They can fly in business class and fly all over the world at my expense, your expense, and dictate to us what sort of things we can drink, what sort of things we can smoke. I don't smoke pens. I don't smoke, so I'm just making a point here. What sort of food we can eat, like people like Michael Bloomberg, the mayor of New York. No one can drink a soft drink more than 8 ounces or 12 ounces. Stupid. Trying to tell us how to live our lives. Not letting us live our lives. Yeah, exactly. Well, you can't have health insurance. You can only get it from the government. Why? Yeah, so leftists... So we had this dairy farmer on there. We had Sissy Graham, the granddaughter of the Reverend Billy Graham, gave a wonderful presentation speaking about Christianity, faith in the public space, which was the intent of this country. And notice I said faith. I didn't say Christianity. I didn't say Judaism. I didn't say Islam. I said faith, because that is what the founders intended. And that is part of our society. You notice the demons over in the Democratic National Committee, their convention, they started 2 of their sessions with someone speaking, an immigrant from Pakistan. Now, last time I checked, Muslims worship the same deity as Christians, just in a different fashion, and have different beliefs and tenets, but it's the same deity. This man removed one nation under God in the Pledge of Allegiance. He gave the Pledge of Allegiance fraudulently without under God, which is part of our Pledge of Allegiance. And so, although I'm not a deep person of faith, or a practicing person who goes to church on a regular basis, I do respect people of faith. And I also recognize that Judeo-Christian norms are what founded this country. And the reason it has been so successful, and the reason it eliminated slavery, it extended rights to everyone, extended voting to everyone. That's right. And we've been prosperous for hundreds of millions of people in this country, the longest standing constitution in the world. Yeah, so Sissy Graham gave a wonderful presentation. We saw Senator Rand Paul give a pleasant presentation, and he made the point. He said, listen, Donald Trump and I don't always get along. Remember the campaign? We ran against each other, and it wasn't pleasant. But we do agree on more than we disagree on, and Donald Trump is right about ending foreign entanglements and foreign wars. Ladies and gentlemen, which president has taken us out of more wars than any president? You'd have to say Donald Trump, right? Eliminated ISIS, removed us from that, removed us from the what was left in Iraq, pretty much removing us from Afghanistan, lowering troop participation in the Sahel in Africa, ending the Philippines conflict that we were involved in against Abu Sayyaf, Yeah, Donald Trump. That's right. Ending more wars than anyone else. And of course, he campaigned on that. Now, as a military person, I didn't find that particularly a strong suit for Donald Trump. But hey, that's what he campaigned on. So there you go. Yeah, so Rand Paul gave a good speech. Then we saw the president grant clemency, a pardon to a convicted bank robber, a black man who spent 5 years in federal prison for bank robbery. When he was taken to prison, what happened last night is the FBI agent who arrested him, the man who got clemency last night, who started a nonprofit organization to help reintegrate former prisoners, former criminals, convicts into society. So he's done some yeoman's work apparently in that field. So he's there, and you could tell he had a very different life before he got his act together. Got neck tattoos over here. I don't know if they're gang related or whatever, but it was pretty obvious that he'd had a different life earlier. So he robbed a bank. He gets caught by an FBI agent. The FBI agent takes him to federal prison. On the way to federal prison, the FBI agent stops at a coffee shop, takes him inside, buys him a cup of coffee and a donut, and has a conversation with him. And even though this man has committed a federal crime, an unpardonable crime, an unforgivable crime, robbing a bank, armed robbery, the agent treats him like a human being and like a man. He didn't forget that. The gentleman went to prison. He did his time. He periodically wrote to the FBI agent. When he came out of prison, he and the FBI agent met up again. They became good friends. And today they remain good friends. Yesterday, the president granted clemency. Well, I have to sit and listen to the lies of the left, burning our city streets, attacking human beings, attacking people based on the skin color. And the victims are mostly white, not just black, mostly white, but not talked about by the press or the Democrats. While they lie about this president, a man who I don't personally find particularly pleasant. He's a bore, he's a cad, but he is effective. And that is the reason, ladies and gentlemen, they want Donald Trump out. They hate Orange Man bad because he is effective. Has he been as effective at the things that I hoped he would be? No. The wall isn't built, but illegal immigration is greatly decreased, almost non-existent, but it still exists. So the wall's not done. The federal deficit is still out of control, but not anywhere near as bad as under Barack Obama. But yesterday, the president granted clemency. It's pretty cool to watch. So yes, it was a made-for-television moment. It's part of a convention. They do this to pull your heartstrings, and guess what? It worked. It pulled my heartstrings. Anyway, so then we saw, I already mentioned Senator Rand Paul. We also saw Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. If I'm correct, he's the first Secretary of State in like 75 years to speak at a political convention. Wow, it's astounding if that's the case. He was in Jerusalem, spoke quite eloquently about the president, his foreign policy, and his objectives and goals, and what the next 4 years would bring. And then later in the evening, we also saw the Attorney General, or before this, we saw the Attorney General from Kentucky. Guy looks like he's about 16 years old. He's a young black man who's the Attorney General of Kentucky. So he passionately pointed out that the lies that the left spreads about America, claiming it's not a land opportunity, there's systemic racism and oppression. He said, well, then how did I get here? How did I become the Attorney General of Kentucky, basically? And he's right. How does that happen? It doesn't happen. Overcoming the lies of the left. So that was fantastic. He was quite articulate. I had him on silent in the background up here, and then I said, let me tune in here. And I picked a perfect moment as he started telling his origin story and explaining what was going on and talking about America. It was very passionate, very beautiful, well done. We also had Nick Sandmann. Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Sandmann is a young man who was accosted by a fraudulent, stolen glory, stolen honor Vietnam veteran who is not a Vietnam War veteran, but he allowed people to believe that. When they said he was a Vietnam War veteran, in his interview, he didn't correct them and say, I served in the Army during Vietnam, not in Vietnam. Yeah, he didn't say that. So that gentleman, whose the whole thing was clearly a setup, a scam to intentionally get someone, and they got this on film, and then they went and they ran with it, and vile people like Bill Maher ran his mouth, and this boy's life was turned upside down as a young youth, 16 years old at the time, 17 years old at the time, on a high school trip to the nation's capital from Covington, Kentucky. His life was turned upside down, received death threats. His school had to be closed because of the racist, vile vitriol promoted by the media, the cable news networks, and also by commentators on the left, vile people, as I mentioned, like Bill Maher, who say things about minor children like this. You know, these people have no sense of decorum. But Nick Sandmann spoke last night quite well, quite eloquently in front of the Lincoln Memorial. The reason he spoke in front of the Lincoln Memorial is because on their trip to Washington, D.C., the Covington High School students went to the Lincoln Memorial. Why? Because Abraham Lincoln was born in Kentucky before he moved to Illinois. And so Kentucky also claims him as a native son, and so they went to see the memorial for one of their native sons from Kentucky. So he gave quite a wonderful speech. It was really well done. Young man, brilliant. I think we need to get him some braces, though. He's got that Appalachian tooth gap going. Gonna have to get him some braces. But yeah, quite well done. And then the headliner of the night was First Lady Melania Trump. And of course, she read a prepared speech. She didn't deviate from it. At times, I have to be honest, it almost sounded like I was listening to Zsa Zsa Gabor with her accent, but it was an excellent speech. She said wonderful things. She also called for not, to tone down the uncivil behavior of folks. And she didn't attack anyone on the left. She didn't call anyone out by name, and she said, let's work together. Very reasonable, very middle of the road, very professional. I haven't seen any reaction to her speech today, but I'm sure most of it will be negative because I know how the media is. This is the most amazing, one of the most accomplished, most attractive, most refined, most gentle first ladies in the history of the United States, and they savage her all the time. And they talk about her in the most vile fashion. Leftist designers refuse to design clothing for her when she's one of the most famous fashion models in the world. It's just stupidity beyond belief. Stupidity beyond belief. But she gave a great speech last night. As tonight, the headliner will be Vice President Mike Pence, former governor of Indiana and former congressman from Indiana. Yep, Mike Pence. Let me catch back up in the chat, folks. So that's a little bit about the convention. I hope that's what you're looking for. Okay. Well, so I'm a little behind here. I'm trying to catch up. Promote the channel to the people at the trip. Oh, yeah, Lars Thassa. I'm going to do that. And, Anna Marie's sorry. She's busy making supper now instead of dinner. Penny's here. Hi, Penny. Sound like a South Park theme there. Tian says, should military service be mandatory for U.S. presidents? No, absolutely not. It shouldn't be mandatory for anybody. Shouldn't be mandatory for anyone. We don't have a need for mandatory military service. That era is gone. If we come back to a situation like that with the advanced weaponry and systems we have today, that'd be, I think, almost impossible in a country this size. Never have it. You couldn't intake 4 or 5 million people every year into uniform as recruits and train them. We don't have the resources to do that. The cost would be astronomical. So, I don't think mandatory military service, no. It's kind of like when I was an enlisted soldier, I had a lot of soldiers. They're called Mustangs. So I was called a Mustang. A Mustang is a former enlisted soldier who becomes an officer. And that's just a slang nickname term because Mustangs are wild. They cut against the curve. They're the wild horses, the ponies that run out there. And so a Mustang. And a lot of enlisted soldiers have instant respect. You have instant credibility, bona fides as being a Mustang. And I always took exception to that because just because I was enlisted doesn't mean I'm particularly attuned or care or understand the needs and the situation of enlisted soldiers. I should, but it doesn't mean I do. I mean, you have people who are enlisted tools and they become officers and they're still tools. So just being enlisted doesn't make you particularly insightful. Now, I would like to think in my case, I was insightful. And in my case, my enlisted experience did, I believe, make me a better commissioned officer. I could commiserate. I could understand what it was like to be that private who was sent to do a 2-hour guard shift in temperatures below zero and spend 14 hours out there not being relieved. And of course, your general orders are, you can only quit your post when properly relieved. You can't go anywhere. I had no radio, no communication, standing out there in the cold all day long into the evening, completely forgotten about by all the NCOs. And then they finally came out. Now, by the way, that was the only time in my entire career I wore those Arctic boots, the Mickey Mouse boots, the all rubber ones that you can inflate. They weren't inflated, but you put your feet in them and nothing gets out. So all the heat stays trapped in there. My feet were toasty and soaked, but they were warm. And my ears and my fingers were frozen. I had to keep taking my mittens and gloves off and putting it under my parka like this. And I was wearing a steel pot back then. We didn't have the Kevlars. And those things attract cold because they're steel and metal. So I had the experience. I mean, listen, I like to think it made me a better officer. But I don't think that anybody should have to have served in the military to be president. You don't have to have to serve in the military to empathize, to understand, or to get to understand the role and the sacrifices of the military. Melania Trump said it quite articulately last night, what military soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, Coast Guardsmen, what they go through, what they sacrifice in order to serve this country. And she's never served, but she appreciates it. And it wasn't just a bumper sticker. The way she said it, it's clear that she gets it. And also the families of service members. So, no, I don't think you have to be to ever serve to be president. I disagree with that if people think it should be mandatory. Sean says, it's official. I get physically sick when watching politicians, people in government flap their lips. Be careful. What if I run for office? Don't say that about me. Today I watched the War of Words. Lawyer uttered in legalese language to try and confuse the layman. It's the game they play. Yep. Saw the lobster guy, the steel guy, my favorite, Sandman, putting up that MAGA hat. Yeah, that was pretty cool. I actually turned my head when that happened. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Teeny says, likes Donnie Trump. Oh, Eric Trump. I forgot about that. Eric Trump also was on last night. He spoke very well, very eloquently about his father, Donald J. Trump. And Eric Trump was also fantastic. And he just spelled it out. Good presentation. I forgot all about Eric Trump last night. That was well done on his part. Oh, and Tiffany. Sorry. Tiffany and Eric both spoke last night. Tiffany's was good. And she talked about the toxic environment that's out there. But Eric talked about his father's accomplishments and the deep state trying to go after him and all the lies. Cody Lombard is here. Hello, Cody. James says, what chilled my bones was that lady who used to work for abortion clinics describing about the fetuses. Yeah, okay, let me talk about that. So, James, yeah, that was Abby Johnson. She used to work for Planned Parenthood, which, perhaps we should call planned infanticide because that's the real business they're in. They proclaim to be in the business of women's health. But the real issue is the way that they make money and the way that they stay in business is by performing abortions. And as she pointed out, 80% of the abortion clinics that Planned Parenthood, well, they're called family planning clinics, but 80% of their family planning clinics in America are strategically located in minority communities. Now, why would you put these facilities overwhelmingly in minority communities unless your goal is to provide abortion services to minorities, which reduces their population? One of the reasons why the black American population is steady at about 13.5% of the population is the large number of abortions take place this year every year for black children, both black women and white women who have children by black men. The abortion rate is astronomically high. It's a really sad situation, but that keeps the population artificially low. Yeah, Abby Johnson, she was very, very good. Katie is so sorry. I don't know what you're sorry for, Katie. What happened? Rita, okay. And then Ant says, Bette Midler and Melania still cannot speak English, but she can't. Oh, said she can't speak. No, Melania has been able to speak English for 25 years. She spoke before she got here. Mustang's best cars out. Hey, Viking Boer, good to see you there. Good to see you. Nick Salmon sued CNN for $275. They settled. I wonder if received around $100 million, still less than Bloomberg spent on his campaign. Bloomberg didn't spend $188 million. He spent over $1 billion on his pathetic campaign. Flip's connection is bad. Buffering. Yeah, it's your connection. Sorry you had to go, Flip. Shame. Well, that's what we get with the internet connection there in South Africa. It doesn't always work so well, and you can't rely on your data providers. So, Doc Breaker says, good. Hey, Doc Breaker was with me last night. Good stream last night. So you and I can agree with which Eastern Bloc we prefer. Yeah. No, he's talking about, excuse me. I was joking last night that listening to Melania was making me think the Russians had won, that accent. But true, she doesn't have a Russian accent, but it's an East Bloc Slavic accent. But it doesn't actually sound Slavic. She sounds, from Slovenia, she sounds more like Zsa Zsa Gabor from Hungary. So that's what we were joking about. Yeah, so. Yeah, David Hogue says, yeah, the left says bacteria is life on Mars, but a fetus heartbeat isn't life on Earth. Yeah, or a fetus. Anyway, we'll get away from that. I don't want to talk about that topic. Viking Boar in KZN, Shark Country, but I prefer you wear a Lions shirt all the time. I don't have a Lions shirt. Ronald Gans says, trust you're doing well today. I'm trying. Thank you, Renaud. Faye Hepburn, people should go by policies, not personality, and should give praise where it's due. I agree. I agree with that. That's smart. Ron von Reimann saw YouTube footage from Mr. Scott Balson and his dog Bonsai. His dog passed away. Sorry for the man. He's a decent guy. He knows how to behave properly with canine. Oh, yeah, okay. I'm not laughing about his dog. I'm laughing about your comment about behaving properly with canine. Yeah, no, I didn't know that. I wrote to Scott and his PA a few weeks ago. I haven't heard from them. I guess they're really busy. Oh, Tion is a member because I don't have a Lion shirt. See, I can't win. Yikes. Well, folks, you're listening to Chris Wide Africa on the Indaba Africa channel. Thank you for tuning in on a Wednesday. It is Wednesday, yes. Catch where I'm at here. Yeah, Wednesday, the 26th of August. And for the two persons involved in my mailing adventure to send something to South Africa, your package is now on its way. My wallet is considerably lighter. I'll let you know how to reimburse me. Anyway, but the package is on its way. And yeah, so hopefully it'll be there with a matter of days, and that will be taken care of. Anyway, so there you go. I thought it was Tuesday all day. Yes, says Rob. Yeah, no, it's Wednesday. I had to make sure. Some days they just run together. I mean, look, in lockdown, what's a Saturday compared to a Monday, or a Sunday compared to a Wednesday? You never know half the time because it just goes on. Hey, Olaf. Olaf is here. Me to you says, unfortunately, he won't make a judgment against the state as he is part of the bar delivering a service for the state. Don't be fooled. They're all spineless. The judiciary is captured. Yeah, I think no, Robin, it's not for you. Nope, I send something off. I'll talk about it after it arrives, but I won't talk about it now, and also protect the privacy of the people involved. Anyway, but I had quite the adventure trying to mail something. Because South Africa has closed its borders, you cannot mail postal services to South Africa. The only way to do it is through Express. Apparently there's an exception for that. My supposition would be that that's because you have to import medications and such, and the express services like DHL, FedEx, and UPS can still bring things in because they're a commercial service, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, so the Postal Service is not delivering anything to South Africa. They're shipping it through third parties. So anyway, Vice President Mike Pence will be the star the third night. That's correct. That's correct, EduTube. Welcome, EduTube. You must be tuning in just now. So let's go back to what I was showing you guys a little while ago. I'm going to show you where I'm actually going to go when I go to Wyoming. This is pretty cool. Where's this at? Is that it? That's not it. Where's this? There we go. All right, so I'm going to go back. I already talked to you about Wyoming Catholic College. It's a small school, ladies and gentlemen. They have like 19 faculty and about 190 students, so not big. But they just started in 2005. Their first class was 2007 with freshmen. And what they do is a little bit different. So the I don't want to outdoor adventure, bonding sort of thing that we're doing is something they do with their students. Their students arrive on campus. They're put in groups and cohorts, and they send them out into the mountains, and they experience all kinds of neat things. So it's pretty cool. Interesting stuff. So on the night shift tonight, I'll talk a little bit more about what I'll be doing up there. But let me just show you very quickly some of the things that that'll be happening up there. So here we go. All right, there you go. So this is the route, and it's quite a long ways here. And this goes up to about 12,000 feet. It's quite lovely. And this is located in Wyoming, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see that. Give it a moment to reload. Takes a moment there. Not exactly moving fast. In the meantime, here's the GPS view of it. Whoa, that doesn't look right. Why is my screen so... Okay, I didn't realize my screen was like that. Let me fix that very quickly. There we go. Yeah, so that's where I'm going, and just that doesn't help you yet. Let me go out a little bit further so you can see it. There you go. Now you'll be able to see it. Give it a second for that to reload. All right, but this is the physical. Fremont Lake is where a starting point. That's this lake right here in Wyoming. And let me zoom out a little bit here. Come on, what's going on? Why is this not zooming out? Okay, there we're going to go. So you're going to start to see some names you've probably heard of, some locations if this page finishes loading. So there it is in the mountains there. That's the Fitzpatrick Wilderness Area, and Wind River Range is what this is, these mountains here. And this here is Jackson Hole, there below, right where the mouse is circling. Of course, Jackson Hole is famous, and of course, Jackson Hole is there. Let me zoom out a little bit further, but just north of Jackson Hole are two national parks, including the oldest national park in the United States. That's Yellowstone National Park. But just before that, you have Grand Teton National Park. Come on. This is so slow, this software. All right, so let me zoom out here, folks. Show you where this is at. Come on, come on, come on. It's taking a long time. Anyway, so give that a moment. Let me go back to the other view here while that loads. Yeah, so you can see this is quite rugged terrain here, folks. Let me zoom in a little bit there. And the hiking trails are here in the mountains and along these ridge lines and over the spine of this and coming back down through here. So all of this where the mouse is going is where I'll be hiking at. All right, so here you go. This is a little bit better. You can see over here on the left-hand side is California, then Nevada. There's Utah with Salt Lake City right there. Just going up north, this is Wyoming, which is the rectangular state right there. And if you look here, you've got Yellowstone, and then below that's Glacier National Park, and then Jackson Hole is here, and where I'll be going is here in this Wind River Range. So that's where I'll be going, folks. Should be interesting. And yeah, hopefully pretty cool. Anyway, let's leave it there. So that's what I'll be doing. That's coming up here 7th September. So while I'm gone, not the internet might be a challenge, but what I've done, folks, is I've got a GoPro, and I've got external extra micro SD cards for that and for my mobile phone, which I'll be taking with me. I have several power banks, which I'll take with me so that if I run out of juice. And what I'll also do is if there's no network, rather than my phone searching all the time, I'll put it in airplane mode so it stops searching for the signal. And then whenever we stop somewhere, I'll see if there's a signal. And if there is, I'll upload videos, and I'll try to go live stream if I can, if the data is good enough. But anyway, that's the plan when I'm out there, folks. There'll be hiking. There'll be cowboy, what's it called? Anyway, cowboys out there doing roping and calving, stuff like that. And we'll also be doing some fly fishing and a lot of other stuff, having conversations, discussing great books and literature, talking about life experiences and how to adjust to life after the military. So it should be fascinating. It's the first time that Catholic College has run this program for veterans, and it's much appreciated, something they're trying to do for veterans, and they're focusing on a very specific segment of the military population, those who served in special forces and elite forces, those who bang down door or knock down doors and put themselves in harm's way very frequently. So that will be interesting. I'm looking forward to that. I'm not so much looking forward to the flying, not because I'm afraid of flying, but because flying is such a pain in the butt. Yeah, in fact, the ticket price jumped considerably. It was very cheap to fly there, but you're not allowed to carry on. You're not allowed to check bag, and you can't pick your seat. So if you pay more, you get a carry-on, you get a check bag, and you can pick your seat. So I paid more. Ornell says, can't wait for this. Lonwabo Malulo, welcome. Their artists are well-informed planners of what they did. What's that? Keith is here. Do you have a cheetah jersey? Teeny, I do not have a cheetahs jersey. I do not have 3 jerseys that I would like to have. I would like to have a Lions jersey, but I want a good one, not one with terrible ads all over it. I would like to have a Cheetahs jersey, again, a nice one, not with all the terrible ads on it. And then I'm desperate to get a Greekwas jersey. Desperate to get a Greekwas jersey. I'm dying for that. I've never been able to get one. The one time that I had a chance, I was in Kimberley, and it wasn't rugby season, and I was passing through on my way to Bloemfontein, so I didn't get a chance to look for a place to find one there. And I've never found them in sneakers or any of the other sports stores in South Africa having Greekwood jerseys. They usually just have the local jerseys. Occasionally, they might have the Stormers, Sharks, and Bulls, most places you go, or the Lions, but they won't have the Greekwood and things like that, Cheetahs, things like that. Don't have a Cheetahs jersey, but I'm working on it. Bloomberg's 180 mil campaign for ads, polling, but yeah, exactly. Viking Board says, your Army stories are fascinating. Give us more as time goes by and you feel like sharing it. Yeah, sure. I was doing that before, and that people love those stories. I was telling them. Viking Board says, don't forget your video camera. We're looking forward to the amazing trip. Yeah, I have a GoPro, and I just bought a backpack strap for it, which is just like $8. So I'll be able to I'm going to take my my Camelback for water, and they have the straps here, and I'll be able to put it on here, and then the GoPro will be on my chest, and so it'll be recording that way. I also bought a neck harness that goes, just a little thin thing goes across your neck like this, and that was a few dollars, and I can plug my GoPro or my mobile in there and then film as I go along. So I've never used the GoPro before. I just got it because it was a clearance price, something that costs, I don't know, $300. I paid like $80 for it last month. So it'll be my first time using the GoPro, but I've got extra micro SD cards. I'll have my mobile, my external power banks, so I can carry those, and in case I don't have electricity to plug into. So it's be like I'm living in South Africa, right? No ESCOM. So yeah. Tammy Goslett says, hi, Tammy. Love your streams. Find your videos very interesting. Well, thank you for checking. The Conscious Caracal has checked in. Ernst, my friend. What? Where you been? How handed? Ernst von Seil is in the house. Good to see you, the Conscious Caracal. Yeah. Hey, listen, Conscious Caracal. On the last program I did with Ronaldo on the Sunday service, someone, Clinton McConnell, I think it was, suggested that he thought it would be an awesome show if Ronaldo, the Colonel, and Conscious Caracal were all in the same stream. Kind of the same concept as the three Amibros, except that the three of us would be far better looking than the three of them. Now, see, Ronaldo, he gets to fit in both groups, right? But jokingly, I said that, and Robin caught on to this. I said that because they were talking about the three Amibros, like, what are these three white guys? I'm like, what do you mean three white guys? There's only one white guy there. Other guy is a Moroccan French dude. And the other guy, I don't know. He looks like he's maybe coy. I don't know. We're really dodgy origin there for Jeremy Nell. But yeah, so we definitely would be the three white guys if we do it there, Conscious Caracal. But what do you think? If you're still here, if you haven't popped out, let me know what you think of that. Do you think it's a good idea? I think it'd be awesome, man. So how long are you going to be away? Just a week, Ronell. But I will be live streaming, impromptu live streams, because when I go to the airport, I haven't been to an airport in the midst of the Wuhan coronavirus, COVID-19, and the hysteria over that. So I will be filming my experiences at the airport terminal, boarding planes, sitting on planes, if anyone's around me or not around me, all of that stuff. And yeah, so I'll be doing that. And there I know I'll have power to plug into, and I'll have data for the network. That'll be something. So my day out there, that'll be the 7th flying out. The 8th, I think I'll have network connectivity, so I'll do that. From the 9th, I'm not sure. It depends on where we are in the mountains and what the signals come in and what elevation. So from the 9th for a few days. But then on the 14th, I'll be back in civilization and staying overnight in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And then I will fly back on the 15th. And so the 14th and 15th, I'll also have connectivity and I'll be streaming. So there you go. You should also get another Bulls jersey. Dude, I got like 4 Bulls jerseys. I have to have more Stormers jerseys than Bulls jerseys, okay? I have that pink Bulls jersey. Remember that? The breast cancer one? I've got that one. I've got the really cool one that's got the dots up here, which I really like, with the Isuzu up here. I've got the one where the bull is actually part of the design, and his horns come, and he comes around the side there where his face is. I've got that one. Yeah, I've got at least 4 Bulls jerseys. You have to email the Greek Quiz Union to organize a jersey. Yes, Gareth, that's true. That's for you in South Africa. But for me, I can email them, and then they're like, okay, $1 million for DHL to ship it. Now, I buy my Stormers jerseys from the Stormers store in Cape Town, and I don't know what the deal is, but they must have some kind of corporate discount with DHL, because it usually costs me about $30 or $35 for DHL on top of the jersey cost. Now, with the Rand struggling so much, it's gotten better over the past 2 years. When I order a Stormers jersey, the price goes down because the Rand is worth less, and it offsets the cost of the shipping. So there you go. Going live with Robert Dugan in 15 minutes on my channel. Okay, cool. So you got Marabani on your channel. Marabani, man, he's like a prostitute. He's everywhere these days. He's on everybody's channels. I feel betrayed. I feel betrayed by Marabani. It's like Hugo Kruger. Where's he at? He's disappeared. I only see him when he's looking to come on the channel. No, I'm just kidding, Hugo, if you're out there. But I haven't seen Hugo in a while. Yeah, Conscious Caracal, 15 minutes away. We have to email Greek Quiz. Let's see what else we got here. Totenkopf, visit the Greek Quiz rugby site. Best place to get a t-shirt. All right. Or to get a shirt, excuse me. Conscious Caracal says he'd love that idea. Me too, Conscious Caracal. I'll remind Romualdo about it, and we'll see what he says. The Joking Atheist is here. Saw you on Ronaldo, and that's it. You're leaving for a week. That's AWOL. You're dishonorably discharged. I'm not AWOL. I'll be around. I'll be producing videos. Just a question about live streams. Nothing wrong with 5 Bulls jerseys. What type of guest will you have to get to wear the pink Bulls thing? I'll just wear it. If you want, I'll wear it. Winnie Fundamental is here. Good. Stick to the Bulls jersey. Real men wear pink, says Winnie. No, I mean, I like it. That's why I bought it. But, I mean, I just make that face because a lot of people really, really don't like it. Change the Bulls jersey for Lions jersey. You guys in your Bulls jersey and Lions jersey, you're just having too much fun with that. Yeah, no, the Conscious Caracal can't stick around. Okay, gotcha. How did I miss that? He said he can't stick around. Oh, that's it. Okay, just checking to say hi. Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'd love to do it. Olaf Stormers. Yeah, agreed. Absolutely. Well, folks, thank you everyone who's tuned in here. I really appreciate that. So, yeah, the Republican National Convention, I'll be streaming again tonight. That should be interesting. I'll do myself a favor and make sure I eat earlier today. I ate kind of late last night, and so that was kind of a problem. Yeah, and so anyway, so that's one reason why I streamed a little bit later. But tonight I'll stream a little bit earlier. We'll see how it goes. The dig at your hair. In truth, I'm a super jealous of your beard. Huh? Sorry about what dig at my hair? My hair's fine, man. My hair's dead sexy, man. Check it out. Wait do you see get my haircut, my military haircut, which I'll get later this week. Came back to normal, short, close on the sides. A number 3 cut, maybe number 2. Not going to get a flat top or anything like that. Doesn't look great on me. But, yeah, I can't be putting all kind of this goop in there when I'm hiking around the mountains and the Rocky Mountains out there at 12,000 feet, 8,000 meters. I'll just be gasping for oxygen. Anyway, yeah, so yikes. Yeah, so oh, Robin's got to take off. Got to take care of her little one there. All right, Robin, thanks for popping in. Good to see you there. Number one is the way to go, Chris. Number one, that's too close, man. I don't want to go that close. I like a little bit of hair. I like a little something to brush over the top. Listen, a lot of people, oh, Robin gave a super sticker. Wow, that's cool. That should appear on top. Make sure that shows up. There it is. Robin donated 21 Rand with a super sticker. Says next time. Thanks, Robin. I really appreciate it. Yeah, no, where was I going with this? Oh, yeah. A lot of folks in uniform spend their entire career getting a high and tight, clean on the sides and just a short little bit on top. It's flat, a flat top, a high and tight, and they keep their hair very short, thinking that when they retire, they'll grow their hair out. But a little thing happens on the way to retirement in uniform. A fair number of men develop male pattern baldness, and they decide to start growing their hair, and it just doesn't work. Now, the good news for me is thank you for genetics and DNA. It's worked out pretty well for now. Look at this. It's all there. It's thick. It's luxurious. It's like a shag carpet. So I'm not boasting. I'm just saying I'm not going to cut it all off. If it's there, why cut it all off? Let's just keep it look well groomed. But thanks for the comment on the beard there. I appreciate that, Joking Atheist. Yeah, it's quite an interesting beard. I thought about cutting it off, but people seem to love the beard. I've gotten a lot of comments because they've got the multicolor thing going, so kind of cool. The black and the brown and the Santa Claus look. But yeah, it's a weird thing for me. I've never had a beard. I've had a goatee and I've had the George Clooney few day thing, but I've never had something like this. And of course, the last time I grew this much hair on my face was on holiday, and it was mostly brown and strawberry blonde. So it looks a lot different than it did the last time. But yeah, people seem to be quite enamored with it. So it's staying for now. It's staying for now. Tresemme. No, I don't use Tresemme. Gareth says you need a phony lockdown to grow that out. Can't stand it when it hits level 2. Well, actually, folks, I always thought that people with these big beards like this, like the Joe Black beard, whoop, that is whoop. With the Joe Black look, I thought that, wow, in the summertime, this must be miserable. It must be really hot, but no, not even exercising. I guess the wind just goes through the hair anyway, so it doesn't really bother me. Whereas the hair on the top is quite thick, and then you sweat and that sort of thing. But this has not been a problem in the summertime, much to my surprise. Pretty cool. The hardest part has just been trimming it, and I'm not really into beards, so I don't know about the beard oil and all that other stuff, and people are talking about it. You must dress as Santa for your birthday party this year. I don't have a birthday party, Larsalis. My birthday's on Christmas Day, and nobody gives a flying flip about my birthday. Everyone just cares about their gifts. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. Let me see. I was talking about Catholic college. I don't want to talk about that. I'll save this for later. This is this is Bianca Karen stuff. I said I wasn't going to do that in the stream, so I'm going to save that for later. Let me see. Oh, that's also for later. That's not something good. That's for later. Gosh, it's all bad news. Oh, here you go. This isn't bad news. This is interesting. Let's do this. I had to find something we could talk about. Here you go, ladies and gentlemen. Police are investigating fake news on the reinstatement of the alcohol ban. Check out that queue. It tops the Spar. Look at that, man. Look at that right there. Rumors of a possible reinstatement of the alcohol ban by government sent people rushing to the bottle stores in the city. Police confirmed they would be investigating the circumstance around the spread of fake news claiming the alcohol ban would be reinstated. The news sent hordes of South Africans to the liquor stores to restock on Tuesday. The spread of fake news is a contravention under the Disaster Management Act. Ooh, really? Then why isn't the minister responsible for the small business and small medium-sized enterprises? Why hasn't she been charged with spreading fake news? Remember when we started this, the relief funds that were put out there, that department published on its website an application to get relief for COVID-19 at the very beginning of this, late March. Remember that? It was the first week of April this came out. And people went on the first day and downloaded by the tens of thousands seeking relief, small business, small and medium-sized enterprises. And right there on the top of the form, it said, are you BEEE certified? Are you a minority-owned business? If you're not eligible for relief. So people screamed about it. They reported to the press. The newspapers covered the story. And she comes out and says, no. That's fake news. That's fake news. We never said that. We downloaded the form from your site, genius. Your department put it out there for the public to see. How can it be fake news? It's from the government. No. That was an internal document. Never meant to be shared with anybody. why would you even make a document like that discriminating against people based on their ethnicity and skin color? That's just racial bigotry and racism. But there you go. So she is yet to be charged with spreading fake news. When she gets charged for spreading fake news, then I'll think that this is serious. But as with everything else, the credibility of the angry, naughty children is quite suspect when it comes to this. So the police say they're going to investigate it, but so what? Who will be prosecuted? Who will be prosecuted? What about for the horrific murder and gangland execution of Corlia, what's her last name? The woman who was driving last year near Joburg at 5:30 in the morning to go to work, and they ran out in the street and fired in her car, executed her, and left her body in the street as they drove away with the car. The police ramped up their investigation. They arrested 6 guys, and the last thing I saw about that months ago is that they couldn't prosecute him because there was no DNA. Huh? Anyway, what happened to that? What happens to all these people? So their credibility is quite suspect. MySaps app. There you go. Spreading of fake news still remains a contravention in terms of the DMA, Disaster Management Act. We are appealing to anyone who knows who is responsible for the manufacture and distribution of the message to call 086-10111 or via MySaps app. There you go, folks. So if you know who's responsible, put it out there. By the way, Ronaldo Jose was very hotful and angry yesterday about whoever spread this because he was getting phone calls all day long about the ban. So for those who don't know, I actually did a video on that. No dop, no zol. Say what? Is the ban on alcohol and tobacco back? No, it was a parody. And a lot of people said, well, hey, there was no announcement last time. Well, there was, but they made the announcement when it was too late to go to the stores and get anything. So at the end of my video, I said, this is rumor and innuendo. We have evidence of this. It was a parody. But if it happens to be true, you got 3.5 hours to go get something. So you can see in that photo that a lot of people queued up to get things yesterday, which is unfortunate. You have to wonder what's going on. Was the industry doing this to get attention? 1 hour. So we just lost several people. Did you guys abandon me for Ernst to go watch Marabani? Interesting. Folks, you're listening to Chris Wine Africa on the Indaba Africa channel. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate your presence here. Those of you who stayed, the loyal watchers. Just kidding. A boar must have a beard, says the Viking boar. Yeah, okay. I think you're right about that. What's this? You guys are, watch out for grizzly bears. Yeah, Grim, there'll be bears out there, and grizzlies are the ones. You are correct. I need to watch out for grizzly bears. Absolutely true statement right there. We'll have bear repellent, and we have to get a little class on how to avoid bears. I will be paying attention in that class. You can bet your bottom dollar or your rand that I will be listening intently when they tell me what I'm supposed to do. Because, ladies and gentlemen, bear are fast. A bear is very fast. When they chase you, they can overrun you. I don't care if you're Perry Baker or you're Usain Bolt. It doesn't matter. They can outrun you. Yeah, a bear is really fast, and they're quite agile, and they climb trees very adeptly. So people think they can climb up a tree or a pole to get away from bear. It don't work like that. So you've got to learn how to deal with them, and there are ways to deal with them, to avoid them, short of an altercation with a firearm. So anyway, so we'll be using bear repellent, and we'll be learning or relearning the steps you need to take to protect yourself when a bear's around. Jordan Mendoza's here. Hey, Jordan. Oh, you're not leaving. Okay. Marauder 8310. There you are. Thanks. Eugene Redmond just got here. Better late than ever. That's true. Where are you coming from, Eugene? Was there something else on? You watching Mnet? Yeah, watching some repeats of Igoli, the place of gold. Are you doing that? No, just checking. Maybe it's Steven Delon. Yeah, Steven Delon. There you go. Yeah, no. It should be interesting. I'm really looking forward to it, folks. And I unlike the Rugby World Cup, which I really think I made a big mistake. Fantastic experience, no regrets. But gosh, I really missed a golden opportunity to record videos and load them on my channel, but I didn't do it. Can a bear be tased? I don't think there's enough voltage in a taser to knock a bear down. Those things are pretty massive, man. Even brown bears are pretty big. Yeah, so anyway, you guys are talking about something else here. I don't know what that is, so I'm going to slide away for a second here. And my stream is not live again. What's going on with that? It keeps doing that. Right. Okay, so let's see. We peaked here at, we had 75 people in the stream for a little while there. Excellent. Well, thank you guys for tuning in who've come in. So can a bear be tased? Yeah, that's a good question. I think, is it with an S or a Z? I wonder how you spell tased. That's interesting. Gareth said also had fake news last time about the ban coming back in the first week. Nobody got investigated. That's true. Yeah, but now the Cyril Ramaphosa is especially attentive to people screaming about the ANC's failures, the NCC's failures, and any appearance of corruption or this sort of fake news thing. So they're at least going to go through the motions of saying they're checking into it and doing something about it. Whether they actually do, that's another story, ladies and gentlemen. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, so I'm not so sure that they're going to put the effort into it. So anyway. By the way, thoughts, comments, those were here yesterday when I did the epic fail stuff on the evening stream. Was that interesting? Did you like seeing those photographs? We lost some people during the stream, so I wasn't sure if it was appealing or not. I know a lot of people enjoyed it, but when I showed, you only had one job and they got it wrong. Remember the cheerleader with go backwards? That was interesting. And the I guess they were a race car crew, the ladies with the zippers that were installed far too low and not high enough up on their tight bodysuits. Yep. I support someone testing out if you can tase a bear. Well, I'm not going to be the one doing that. Teeny's going to go watch Marabani now. Okay, Teeny, cool. Yeah, that's what I thought. Anna Marie's, are you back from cooking? Supper? Olaf doesn't watch Ronaldo. Okay, cool. Bradley's here. Where are you coming in from, Bradley? I guess I missed it. I was running errands. What did you miss, Winnie? What did you miss? What did you miss? Please tell me what you missed. Cowboys wear boots and hats. I don't know what you're talking about there. Topic, Day 3, Republican National Convention. Yeah, you mean the theme for Day 3? Where's that at? I actually had that here very quickly. Let me see if I can find that very quickly. Let me get to that very quickly. So I'll bring that up for you guys. Actually, I need to put it in another window here, though. It is not that window. Here we go. Day 3. That's today is Wednesday. Vice President Pence headlines the third day, as I mentioned. And today's GOP is Donald Trump's party. That was mentioned a short while ago. Yep. It doesn't say what the theme is for today. I'm not at the RNC website, though, so I'm going to have to get there. So let me try that. RNC Convention website. Oops, that says North Carolina Convention. I want the RNC. Didn't give the end. RNC Convention website. There we go. Let's check out their website and see what they've got to say. Republican National Convention. All right. We'll see what's on tap for the theme for today. And, okay. GP Convention. Okay. Shoot, there we go. It's not telling me there. Okay. No, this is just about the convention. It doesn't have, that's fascinating. The website doesn't give anything about the day. That's fascinating. Well, that's useless. Thanks for nothing there. Republican National Convention. Let's see. Schedule. There you go. That's what I want. Okay. Donald Trump's website's got the schedule. Wall Street Journal's got it, but you can't see it. CNBC. Maybe CNBC. That's last night. Okay, let me see if Trump's got it. No, this is just to raise money for Trump. That's hilarious. Yeah, that's hilarious. The New York Times is not going to let me see it. It's behind a paywall. Day 3. Let's try Day 3. Day 3. Okay, here we go. Let's try that. Day 3 speakers, BBC. That will let me see it without charging me. There we go. Let's see what happens there. Oh, yeah, we were supposed to get Kellyanne Conway, but I don't think she's going to be speaking. It says she's going to speak, but New York Times wants a paywall. Just stop with these paywalls. All right. Nope. No mention here. Yeah, Kellyanne Conway was on tap, but I don't know if she's still going to speak. Says she's still going to speak. So the 53-year-old announced this week she was resigning from her post as a senior advisor to Trump at the end of August to focus on children. So I guess she is going to speak then. Yeah. So also tonight we'll have Clarence Henderson, a civil rights activist from the 1960s, and Burgess Owens, the former NFL player and Fox News commentator, is running for political office out in Utah. Several veterans are also due to address the convention, as well as a few of the party's female stars, like Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn, New York Representative Elise Stefanik, South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, and the president's daughter-in-law, Lara Trump. So those four will be speaking tonight as well. Yep. So that's who's on tap for tonight. That should be interesting. So we've got some NFL players, a civil rights activist, Kellyanne Conway, Vice President Mike Pence, and some of the rising stars in the Republican Party who are women. So it should be interesting tonight. We'll see what happens there. Cool. Interesting. Pence will address the convention from a remote location. Fort McHenry, ladies and gentlemen, that's in Baltimore. Fort McHenry is where Francis Scott Key wrote the poem which became the Star-Spangled Banner and our national anthem. That's right. Yeah, that's right. Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light. Yep, there you go. Now, Francis Scott Key, who was a lawyer from Frederick, Maryland, located just 1 hour south of where I'm sitting right now. Been there so many times, Frederick. And in fact, the baseball team there is known as the Frederick Keys, ladies and gentlemen. They're named after Francis Scott Key, who was an attorney. He was on the ship because the British had imprisoned an American, and he went there to negotiate for his release. And so the British bombarded the port of Baltimore because they wouldn't let him go because he would warn Baltimore that the British were going to bombard. So they bombarded the city, and Fort McHenry was there. And all night long, the Brits bombed the city and the fort. And in the morning, the flag was still flying. Old Glory was still there. And so he wrote this poem, which later became our national anthem, which is mistreated by scuzzballs and disgusting slime bags in the United States and even in Canada, who show no respect whatsoever for our sovereignty and for our nation, our heritage. Yeah, anyway, so not a fan of people like that. Chris Kelly is leaving the White House, okay. There's a lot of turnover in administration, especially this one. Been working and starting to prep for a boys' weekend. Okay, cool, Bradley. That sounds awesome. I did not see Bette Midler's tweet on Melania. What did she say, Winnie? What did she say? It's probably something nasty. What did she say? Yeah, I have not seen that. So, yeah, let me know what she said, and I'll comment on that. Anyway, so we'll do a Night Owls live stream a little bit later on. And then tonight, the Republican National Convention, day 3, folks. So I hope you can tune in for that. It should be awesome. And what else? What else is there? I want to show you guys this one. Let me see if I can do that. Hang on a second here. Bring this back up. This was a fascinating story yesterday. I briefly touched on this, but we really didn't go into it when we talked yesterday on the channel. Okay, here we go. Let me do this here. All right, so the SAPs are going to investigate fake news about the alcohol. That's rich. That's rich. Very funny. All right, so here we go. There you go. Freddie Blom, world's oldest man, dies age 116 in South Africa. Now, check this out. According to his identity document, it said he was born in Eastern Cape in May 1904. Never verified by Guinness Book of Records, but that's the date he claimed. When he was a teenager, his entire family was wiped out by the Spanish flu in 1918. He went on to survive 2 world wars and apartheid. Wow. He said there was no special secret to his longevity. There's only one thing. It's the man above, God. He's got all the power. I have nothing. I can drop over at any time, but he holds me. That's what Mr. Blom said. He spent most of his life as a laborer, first on the farm and then the construction industry, but retired when he was in his 80s. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Check it out, ladies and gentlemen, right there. Date of birth, May 8th, 1904. Wow. Although he gave up drinking many years ago, he was a regular smoker. However, a coronavirus-related lockdown imposed and said he was unable to buy tobacco to roll his own cigarettes for his 116th birthday. He died of natural causes in Cape Town on Saturday. 2 weeks ago, Upa was still chopping wood. He was a strong man full of pride. But within days, Mr. Blom shrank from a big man to a small person. Mr. Naidu said the family did not believe his death was related to COVID-19. Wow. World's oldest man. They had a story. He wants to stop smoking from May of 2 years ago. Wow. 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 116 years of age. That's crazy, folks. I'd like to repeat that story. Mr. Blom, I'd like to follow your example. 116 years would be awesome. Still chopping wood at 116? That's insane, ladies and gentlemen. Something else. And of course, he would have lived through the Spanish flu epidemic in the early part of the 20th century, which wiped out a lot of people. Folks, I've talked about that. I lost on my family, on my maternal side, the Irish side, we lost a whole generation of family members in Baltimore to Spanish influenza. And it had no mercy, wiped out men, women, adults, children. It was brutal. And there's a cemetery in Baltimore called the Catholic Cemetery. And in the Catholic Cemetery in Baltimore, there's a monument there, a gravestone, which is, 20 feet high or something like that, with the names of about 18 of my Irish American ancestors who died around 1918 to 1920 from Spanish influenza. It was brutal. It was brutal. Yeah, kilometers per hour says, I hope someone recorded his life story, important for future generations. Yeah, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a genealogist, and I do research into family history, and I've done a lot of it. And I can offer this advice to people. If you have grandparents, parents, and you don't spend time talking to them, even if you don't like them. Some people don't like their grandparents and their parents. You should spend time talking to them. Make an effort. It's so easy to do now. You don't even have to write. Okay, can I record you? So, Grandma, tell me about when you went to school, where you went to school, what did you study, what was it like, how big were your classes? Did you guys have electricity? What was it like? Capture oral history, ladies and gentlemen. You'll only appreciate what you've lost when it's gone, and then it's too late. So I agree. I hope kilometers per hour that someone captured oral history from this man and talked to him about his life experiences, because everybody, regardless of your origins, has something interesting about them or something interesting that has happened to them. And we should go to great lengths to record these stories. So earlier Viking Boar was asking me about war stories or about my army stories. He didn't say war stories, he meant army stories. So yeah, those are stories that ought to be captured. I'm not talking about myself. Yes, that's just an example. Yep. Lynn's gone. Catch you later on, Lynn. Okay, my grandparents are dead, says Rolf. Yeah, no, all of mine are passed away too. Yep, and my father's gone. So yeah, but my father, I didn't know him for many years, and then linked with him later, and then spent the last couple of decades not seeing him as often, but as many people see their parents, but I saw him enough. I got to know him and learn more about him and learn some things. So my father famously had a conversation with me, and we talked about foreign languages. And he told me that in high school he had to study geometry, trigonometry, algebra, all these things. And we started talking about languages because I didn't have to study a foreign language in high school to graduate. I chose to take Latin, and I was terrible at it. It was atrocious. But I took Latin, and I didn't learn much because I wasn't a very good student in high school for Latin. But my father, we talked, and he said, yeah, he said, I took Latin in high school and Greek. I said, wow, 2 foreign languages. He goes, no, those aren't foreign languages. I said, yeah, Latin's a foreign language. He goes, no, it's a classical language. I said, okay, so what's a foreign language? He said, well, when I was in high school, in public school in Maryland in the late 40s, early 1950s, we had to take Greek and Latin. It was required for classical languages. But we also had to take a foreign language. So my father studied, I think it was French. So he studied 3 foreign languages in high school, in public school. These days, we expect people to get a 70% and take a handful of classes, graduate from high school. And in South Africa, you don't even expect that. You only require people to get a 30% to pass their matric to go on to university. It's frightening, ladies and gentlemen, the dumbing down of the world. In a time with the most advanced technology, communications, the ability for us to have this session like this, people ought to be more learned, more informed. But instead, many people are dumber and less interested in learning. It's unbelievable. Education has always been a path to success, to wealth, and to prosperity, and to better living and longer life expectancy. Always been the case. Always been the case. And it'll always be the case. Yet people don't care. A lot don't. And certainly political leaders don't want people to be educated because they could think for themselves. They could think critically. And when someone says it's racist to be upset about the Wuhan residents, you're a racist for attacking them for having a pool party. It's not racist. Chinese is not a race. It's a nationality. Now, if you're claiming they're racist against Chinese because they're Asians, that's a different story. That's a leap. But when you're saying they're racist against Chinese, that's utter nonsense. But how many billion people actually believe that nonsense around the planet? Just take it at face value. You're right, they're racist. See, the thing is, the left, if you question something someone else does, they always default to the position, well, you're only questioning what they do. It's like Barack Obama. Well, you can't criticize Barack Obama. You're a racist. Well, I can criticize him all day long. The guy was useless. He was successful. He did exactly what he said he was going to do. He meant to destroy America and remake it in a different way, and he was well on the path to that. He promised the country he was going to do it in 2007, 2008, and he promised the country he was going to do it again in 2011, 2012, and he did. And I took him at his word. That's why I didn't vote for him. Yeah, but that doesn't mean I can't criticize him. No, you can criticize. Now, I couldn't criticize him as a serving officer because that's out of bounds, but I'm no longer in active duty, so I can do that now. But yeah, you can't have members of your military criticizing civilian leadership openly. That's a no-no. Can't have that. So you can't, and you're not supposed to criticize former presidents either when you're serving. But you're not allowed to criticize serving ones. But it's bad form to do it. Okay, let's see what we got here. Any comments in the chat that I need to catch up on? Okay, so true. Viking Boar says only another 69 years to go. Okay, well, excellent. Latin and Greek. I would love to know a little bit for my Bible classes. That'd be handy. Would you recommend any software for capturing family history? Rolf, there's lots of good software for that. Let me see what I've got here on my desktop. Roots Magic. Let me see if I can type that in, okay? Now, my version's a bit older, but Roots Magic is and it's a downloadable program. So Roots Magic, that's a good one. That's very good at doing it. There's other ones, but I like Roots Magic. It's one of the best ones. There were better ones years ago, but you can't get them. They're hard to get anymore. But Roots Magic is pretty good. That's the only one that I have currently on my PC, I think. I'd have to look and see. But Roots Magic is very good. Let me see real quick if I've got any other genealogy ones here. I've got Ancestry's app, but Ancestry's app sucks. You're better off using the browser. Ancestry.com is hands down, although I have issues with them, and I'll share that very quickly. Ancestry.com is hands down the best site to use. Legacy is another one that's good. Legacy. It's a little more juvenile looking, amateur looking, but it's really good for functionality. So Legacy is another one for software. But Roots Magic would be one of those I'd recommend, would be Roots Magic. So let me get back to Legacy. Is there another one here? I'm just looking to see real quick if I've got another one. I use all the software, and then I use a master one, and I update them all from that, because some do different things that you like. Yeah, there's Roots Magic. I already mentioned that one. Yeah, that's the two right now that come to mind. And I would go, of those two, I would go with Roots Magic, assuming it's still available. I haven't downloaded it in a while. I have version 7, which is outdated now. But yeah, I use Ancestry.com. I also have Heritage.com and all these other ones. But Ancestry.com is fantastic. Now, if you're overseas, it can be a little pricey, and I'm not sure what you get. If it's going to help you. So for South Africans, but for Americans and for Europeans, Ancestry.com is amazing. Of course, those with European heritage from South Africa, it may be helpful for that. But what I recommend, rather than using that online, because those are services that have primary source documents, which are fantastic. It's a treasure trove. For less than $200 a year, you can get an Ancestry.com and get access to all the census data, access to city directories, which have lots of valuable information, tax records, things like that. And many other things, military records. But for software, use the Roots Magic and get started with that. And then do a lot of your research for free before you sign up for a website and start collecting things. But capture those oral histories, save them, document them, transcribe them, and use those. It's amazing what you'll find out. So I'm just going to very quickly, I'll do this. Let me do this so you guys can see this. I wonder if I can do this so that you'll see it and it's okay for me to show it on the screen. If it's not, I'll just read it to you and explain it to you. So I'm going to go to my Ancestry.com. Rolf says, would you recommend asking the Mormons? Suppose they have a huge database. Yeah, they do. FamilySearch.org, Bradley, that's a free site that is run by the LDS, the Latter-day Saints. That's the Mormons. And it's very good for genealogy. I was a beta tester or alpha beta tester for FamilySearch.org 20 years ago when they first started, thereabouts. And I still have an account there, but I don't use it very often. That's a free site, and it's fantastic. The Mormons, the LDS, what they do is everywhere they go to prophesize, to get people to join their church, they will go to local government administrations and churches and request to microfilm all of their records. Now, the benefit for a church or a mosque or a synagogue or a city administration or state archives is that they're professional. It's done professionally. Your documents are protected as best they could possibly be done. They're not damaged. And you get your own copy of the microfilm. And they don't take the documents. It's all done there. So they've been all over the world doing this, especially in Europe and the U.S., and they do this. Now, why do they do it? Well, I'm not the subject matter expert. My understanding of LDS, because I was curious about the church a long time ago, is that they can baptize your ancestors into the church. So let me explain what happened here. So here's an army war story, but a war story. So in 1994, I returned from Germany from an assignment, and I came back to the States. My sister was living in North Carolina, in Wilmington. So we went down there to visit my sister, and she handed me this book with a bunch of genealogical data in it. And I hadn't really spent a lot of time in genealogy at that point. It wasn't until about 98 that I started devoting a lot of time to it. But I had done some work. So she handed it to me, and she gave me the impression she had done all this work and research. It turns out later on I found out she got a copy of what my grandfather had done, partial copy, and she just simply transcribed most of it. So I'm looking through there, and I see my great-great-grandfather, and it says baptized. Now, of course, he died like in 1913, and it says he's baptized in 1993. What? How do you baptize somebody that's been dead for 70 or 80 years? So I asked my sister, she goes, oh, no, we brought great-great-granddad into the church. Wait, into what church? Into the LDS church. He's dead. No. Anyway, in fact, the LDS church got in a lot of trouble with Jewish organizations because you have some people who are Jewish who convert to the LDS church. And of course, they try to go back and baptize their ancestors who were Jews into the LDS church, which the church is okay with. But the Jewish church is not okay with that. Or Jewish synagogues aren't okay with that. So yeah, they got in a bit of trouble, lawsuits over that. But that's the reason why the LDS do it, because they value family history and it's important for them to bring those folks in. So yeah, little war story there. But yeah, I would recommend, Rolf, that you go with Roots Magic. Go just look them up on Google and you'll find them. You should be able to download them and go from there. And it's pretty good software. And it's pretty easy and straightforward to do, and you'll be able to find all the things you need to do. As Bradley says, FamilySearch.org is very good. Okay, now is that the last chat? You guys are intently listening to what I said. That was the last thing. And then Rolf says, would you recommend asking the Mormons? Supposedly they have a huge database of family history. Yeah, they do. They do. Baptizing dead people because we can. That's right, man. Why are you doing it? Because we can. Yeah. Yeah, I do recommend them. And you probably have an LDS stake. They're called stakes, which is a local church organization for LDS. You have them in South Africa. I know you do. They have them in Botswana. So I would recommend contacting them. In fact, back in the day, before widespread access to the internet, before all this different software that was out there so you could organize all your stuff, and always make backups, folks. Back up your data periodically. If it's in the cloud, okay, but also make your own copy of that in the cloud so you've got it somewhere, not hard copy, but on a disk or a drive somewhere, and then make a backup copy of that. Keep them separate in case there's any magnetic thing doesn't wipe them out. Because you don't want to try to recreate 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years worth of research. That's impossible. It's insane. In my tree, I have 26,258 people in my family tree on Ancestry.com right now, with 4,097 photographs I've posted in there from family history. Yeah, there you go, folks. So what I'm going to do now is try to find my grandfather, my grandfather, and see if I can show you this. But I have to make sure that it's okay to do that because I don't want to reveal information about people. So let me look at the screen and see what happens here. So here's my grandfather, just to show you what you can do. All right, so yeah, there we go. All right, this one, because almost everybody here has passed away. Everyone I'm going to show on the screen is now dead, so it's okay. All right, so I'm going to show you this, folks. It'll be pretty cool. You ready for this? All right, so this is Ancestry.com, and that's Owen Truman Wyatt. That's my grandfather, born in 1903 in Belington, West Virginia. Died in 1977 in Birmingham, Alabama. Right, so I'm going to explain something before we get any further. So my grandfather, I only met him like twice in my life as a small child. He was married to my grandmother and then abandoned my grandmother, eventually divorced, and no one saw him for years and years. My uncle, Richard, eventually went and found him, or David went and found him back in the 1960s after he became an adult and got married and had a family in Chicago. He went and found him in Birmingham, Alabama, and so they kind of brought him back into the family fold. Turns out my grandfather was quite the genealogist. Back in the day when you would sit down and you would write and you would type up letters and send them all over the country to people who were related. There was no internet, there was no software. It was all done by hand and index cards and stuff like that. And the information my sister had was mostly information my grandfather collected. He also published in journals and things like that about it. I didn't know any of this until after I had done most of my genealogical research. I found out many years later. But my grandfather was an aviation pioneer. He left home in West Virginia, lied about his age, and enlisted in the Army, but he wasn't really in the Army. He was as an Army civilian service member, and he went on a mule tender and left for the First World War. So they took mules from the U.S., put them on a ship to take them over so they could use them in war in the First World War. But by the time he arrived in England, the armistice happened in 1918. There was nothing. So he came back. He wound up working for some strange circus for a while. Then he went to Canada. Then he got into aviation very early. And so my grandfather enlisted in the U.S. Army in 1920, and he served until about 1924 and then got out briefly and then came back in. So he served in the Army back then. I actually have his discharge papers, the original. I've seen them. My uncle had it before he passed away. I actually scanned it and saved it, and I have that document. But my grandfather, Viking Boar says, how long did it take you to compile? Well, you're always compiling. I've been adding to this story for years. That's why I'm going to show you my grandfather, show you some of the things here. So my grandfather wound up working for the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, and his father also worked for the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, which is my great-grandfather. Now, the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad was bought out by CS Southern, I think it was, and that's based in Tallahassee, Florida, back in the 1970s. And the historic Baltimore and Ohio Rail Line, which is one of the most famous airlines in America, was bought out by them, and CSX Southern, or whatever it's called. Anyway, that company still exists. But when they bought the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, this iconic national icon and historical because of the routes that it built and the people it carried, they got the roundhouse for locomotives that were in Baltimore, and they got all the documents. Well, they didn't want the documents, and so they told people to burn them and destroy them. The people that worked for the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad were aghast. Like, what? Destroy these? These are historical. This is American history. This is Americana. And so what the employees did is they approached the company and said, listen, can we have the records so we can microfilm them so they're not destroyed? And the company said, yeah, just get them out of our way. You can microfilm them. So the employees took their own money in the early 1970s. Now, this was related to me by the librarian who worked at the archives for the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad Museum, which is a private entity now. So they have it's the best railroad museum I've ever seen in my life. It's in Baltimore, Maryland, not too far from Oriole Park at Camden Yards. It's a short distance from there, and it's a private museum. It's a little pricey to get in, but it's well worth it. Brilliant trains they have there, locomotives, historical ones, covering a wide span of history, and excellent displays. Anyway, so they also have the archives. So I went to the archives. You have to pay. The lady's like, now listen, I'll let you look at these records, but I have to charge you a fee. I'm like, sure, man. What's it cost? $10. I'm like, $10? Okay, sure, I'll pay you for that. She said, I also have to warn you, a lot of people come here and they say, well, my grandfather worked for the B&O, and they expect to find their work records. But the problem is that a lot of those records were lost. They were destroyed, either when B&O was still here or they didn't get the documents fast enough before the new company started destroying them. So a lot of people are disappointed. So you still have to pay the fee. I'm like, that's okay, ma'am. If I don't find anything, that's valuable research. Then I know this doesn't exist. It's worth it. So I went, and they had this Kodak microfilm viewer. Microfilm viewer. It was a rare one. Apparently only like 300 of this model were ever made back in the early 70s, late 60s. So this one was quite pricey. They bought it. The employees bought it out of their own money. They did it. They had all the documents they could save microfilmed, and the microfilm was old. It was from that time, and nobody had replaced it. So like many pieces of technology, it gets outdated. So when I was there, she said, now I'm going to have to ask you to be very careful with the machine, because there's only one person who knows how to repair this machine, and he's in his late 70s, and he comes here a couple of times a month just to take a look at it for us. And if it breaks, then no one else can look at it. I'm like, oh, okay. So I was very careful. I went through the microfilm. This is a huge machine. I went through it, and I start looking, and I found my great-grandfather, Asa Harmon Wyatt. I found his employment records at the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad from 1899 to 1936, I think it was, or something like that. He died in 1942. So I found nearly 40 years of his employment records working for them when he was a brakeman, he was a conductor, all these different jobs he did, and watching him make like 24 cents a week. That was his wage. Insane. Anyway, so that's what you learn with genealogy. So let me show you my grandfather again very quickly, and I'll run through this. All right, so there's my grandfather, and this is Ancestry.com, and you can use this anywhere in the world, but so far as storing your data, it's useful because it's in the cloud, but and it has a good format. I actually like the old format better, but what they do is they run through facts here. So you see he was born, and this is all data that I've put in here. So here is his occupation, and I've got images there. He worked for the B&O Railroad as a tender repairman in Cumberland, Maryland, and explain what he did there. His sister was born in 1917, and then when he was 13 years old, he worked for the Glennie Martin Aviation Plant, constructing 6 twin-engine biplanes for the Postal Service. His services ended after they completed covering, finishing the 6 sets of wings. Covering. Remember, the covering, they put cloth over the wings. It wasn't aluminum back then, so he was covering the wings of these Curtiss aircraft, Curtiss Martin, of course, which made the famous P-51 Mustang in the Second World War. Then he worked in Cleveland, Ohio for the Perfection Stove Company. He served in the military from 1920 to 1926. He was assigned to Mitchell Field, Long Island. He was also, back to this, he was also assigned to Bowling Field in Washington, D.C., which is where Marine One, the helicopters are based that carry the president around. That was where he was at. It was an airfield. And famously, he crashed a lighter-than-air dirigible, so like a blimp. He was flying it as a private first class. He was flying the blimp, and he crashed it. Sometime shortly after that, after investigation, enlisted personnel in the U.S. Army no longer flew any aircraft of any sort. I don't know if it's because of my grandfather or what, but anyway, so he then went to Halifax in Nova Scotia, where he was a gold miner for a short period of time. Then he was in Indiana. He was a concessionaire in the Hagenbeck Wallace Circus, and that took him to Hamilton, Canada. So these dates are off. He was the circus guy before he was a gold miner. Going to Canada, he wound up and he left the show and went to Halifax to look for gold. And so those are in opposite order because I don't have an actual date there. Then he lived in, here's a residence. I found this from city directories. Then he worked for the Jordan, Ohio company. The Jordan, Ohio company was an early automobile manufacturer, and they produced cars. And then he was a die setter on a thread machine at Upson Bolt and Bolt and Nut Company. Then in 1926, he married my grandmother, and he had these sons. And then he worked for the Ludington Line. The Ludington Line was an early commercial aviation company that ran a aviation service from New York to Philadelphia to Baltimore, Washington. And the Ludington Line was included aviation pioneers like Howard Hughes. And so I have a photograph of my grandfather having met Howard Hughes right next to a plane. Awesome. Really cool stuff. And then he worked for Eastern Airlines. There you go. Eastern Airlines is long since defunct. He worked for the Douglas Aircraft Company, which became McDonnell Douglas later on. He worked for, let's see who else, so the Aerospark Plug Company. He worked for Republic Aviation, which was another major aviation company. They built tens of thousands of aircraft during the Second World War. Then he worked for Glenn Martin Aviation again in 1940. And a Brewster Aeronautical Company, the Norden Company. Oh, yeah, 1942, my grandfather was involved in the development of the Norden bomb site, which made all the difference in bombing Germany during the Second World War. So he worked for the Norden Company. Check that out, folks. Yeah, and then he worked for Engineering Research Corporation, ERCO, which was a big technology company back then. He has worked in San Diego at the B-24 assembly plant. One thing you should know about my grandfather is apparently he couldn't keep a job very long. He kept going from job to job to job to job. Yeah, so crazy. Let's see what else. He divorced my grandmother in 1945, and then in 1949 he married a lady in Texas, and then he worked later on for the Chase Aviation Corporation, then in New Jersey, Birmingham. Anyway, he wound up in Birmingham, Alabama, and he worked at Bechtel McCone plant, and then he worked for Hayes Aircraft. Eventually, my grandfather became the lead engineer on the tail assembly for the Saturn V rocket. The Saturn V rocket, of course, folks, is the rocket that launched the entire Apollo space program into flight and is the same rocket that we've been using until SpaceX has come out with their Falcon 9 rocket. Prior to that, we were still relying, the biggest and most reliable rocket was the Saturn V rocket. Yeah, so yeah, my grandfather worked on the tail assembly, lead engineer. So that's that. Let me get back up here to the top, make sure I'm not revealing anything. So I'll help you out with this. So what you do on this site, and software similar that you get, is here you have sources, the 1920 census, 1930 census, 1940, Cumberland Times newspaper, Social Security Death Index, U.S. city directories, draft cards for young men for World War II, Social Security claims, and then birth indexes, and then some unsourced citations that I put in here. And then over here you have parents, and then spouse and children. You see I had all boys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boys, one of whom died in infancy. And then the rest here who have all passed away now. My uncle and my father both passed away in 2018. They were the last two. And then his second wife who died in 1963. So she died early. Anyway, so then you get here with Ancestry.com. They'll offer you hints. They'll find this name or similar name. And so here's some things. So actually, here's a hint on the newspaper index where this might be my grandfather. In fact, it is. And I have access to that. And then here, these two links, it's a hint. That's actually my father's website. He got those photos from me. There's my grandfather, and he put them on his website. My father's passed away, but someone else is maintaining his site now. So, for instance, if we review this, we click on this, and now I'm losing an audience. I guess this is getting boring. Owen Wyatt, male, married Mary O'Donnell Wyatt. And does this record match the person in your tree? It does. Now, I'm not going to look at it to save some time, but there's the actual view of the image. Let me go back, actually, because I want to save that. Let's do that. Let me go back. View image. So let's view image. Come on. Okay. So now it's going to open up in another window, and this is what you can do with Answers.com. I should be signed. I'm not going to do that because I'm signed in. I don't know why it's not showing me I'm signed in. But yeah, so I'm going to save this to my tree. And there you go. So there's my grandfather. And I'm going to click on this to add her. If there's any information that's different here, I'm going to change it. but no. Okay, there's a new residence in this date. Okay, yeah, everything else is good. And here I'm just going to put Fort Worth because that's in Tarrant County. So I'm going to add that manually. Fort Worth. There you go. Oops, do a comma there. All right, Fort Worth, Tarrant County. There you go. And save that to my tree. And now that's a source that's in my tree and data. So there you go. There's something new I've added about my grandfather today. That's there you go. So here's a life story page. It's something they did to appeal to those who are less experienced genealogists, just to make it interesting for them. I don't find this useful. In fact, I find it very annoying, but a lot of people like this, especially when they're new to it. So here they just generate a story. So when he was born in 1903, his father was 24 and his mother was 23. That's based on data that I put in the system, but I didn't have to type this. He married Beatrice Virginia Grimes. They had 6 children together. He married Mary Bell O'Donnell. He died in 1977 in Birmingham, Alabama at the age of 73. He was buried in West Virginia. So here you can see places he lived, and there's you see the link, my father, and there's my grandfather and his parents. And then here, that's an image I put in there. They just put it up here, birth of his sister. So they give you a timeline here. That's an image I put for the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, and they put these two up. So I put them under that heading. Here's my grandfather when he ran away from home and became a member of a ship going to the United Kingdom with mules, mule tender. That's when he first ran away from home in 1917, 1918. Paris Peace Conference, Glenn Martin. These are all symbols of the companies he's worked for that I found. That's the Air Service. He was in the Army Air Service. Yep. And then he was a gold miner in Halifax. This is the Hagenbeck Wallace Circus I talked about. This is just the symbol for Allegheny County, Maryland, where he was at. Jordan Auto Company, Jordan, Ohio. And then this is my grandfather's enlistment record. This is the actual original document. I scanned it. Gosh, this is 20 plus years ago I scanned this thing. So check it out. So right there, Wyatt Owen T. There's his service number. Private, enlisted November 10th, 1924. This was his reenlistment because he'd gotten out. And then it just goes on and on. It says decorations, none. Battles, none. Knowledge of any occupation or vocation. He's a mechanic. He was an aircraft mechanic. Horsemanship, not required. Yeah, and so his discharge here in April 14th, 1926, signed by First Lieutenant. Can't read that here, but anyway, it's original. I can see it. So this is his original discharge. That's the back side of the document. Let me see if I can get the front side of the document. There it is. Honorable discharge from the Army of the United States to whom all it may concern and certify that Owen T. Wyatt, private, 18th Headquarters Squadron Air Service, the Army of the United States, as a testimony of honest and faithful service, is hereby honorably discharged from military service in the United States by reason of Section 3, subsection 615, 360, purchase. Anyway, yep. Beelington, West Virginia, enlisted when he was 25 and a half years of age, the occupation of mechanic, and he had blue eyes and red hair, ruddy complexion, 5 feet 6 inches, so he was short. Given under my hand, Bowling Field District something District of Columbia, 14th of April, 1926. And that's signed by a major on the front, major in the Air Service. Yeah, folks, so that's kind of cool, isn't it? So that's what you can do is you can put on there. So that's when he served in the Army. Let me get back down here a little further. 26. There he's got married to my grandmother, birth of his children. So this is something a lot of people like. It doesn't do much for me. I don't find it interesting. So then you have facts, and that's the screen you saw earlier. This is the fact screen. Over here is family members, parents, and other marriages. And then the gallery. These are all the images I loaded up. Come on. Let's see, it takes a while for this now. So I'll let that go for a second. Okay, there you go. So these are all images that I've put down with my grandfather, some of him, and others of just, places he's been, and documents I put in here. So that's all there. My grandfather was an aviation pioneer. He was in part of something called, here he is with Howard Hughes. I did mention Howard Hughes. This is my grandfather with Howard Hughes. You guys know who Howard Hughes is, right? If you don't, you've probably seen him in the movies. That's Howard Hughes right there. And that is my grandfather. Check it out. This is the Ludington line. It's an undated photograph, but the odds are it's in the early 1930s, probably around 1934, 36 time frame. Yep. And so I put an annotation on the saying an undated photo of my grandfather, Owen Truman Wyatt, shaking hands with the famed aviator Howard Hughes. My cousin Rick Wyatt scanned this copy from an original photo from my grandfather's collection that is in the possession of our uncle Edmund, who's passed away. But there you go. That's with Howard Hughes. Check that out. And that's a commercial airliner back then. And my grandfather's shaking Howard Hughes' hands. He also knew Amelia Earhart. He knew her personally, Wiley Post, and several other aviation pioneers. This is my grandfather when he received the OX-5 award. The OX-5 was the first reliable mass production commercial aviation engine. And so Owen Truman Wyatt received this OX-5 award. Dude's got some big ears, though, man. Check it out. My grandfather had some massive ears. But that's my grandfather with his OX-5 award, which received. The OX-5, as I mentioned, was the first commercially reliable and mass-produced engine for aircraft. All the ones prior to that were subject to failing flight when people died. So we've lost a lot of people now. I guess people are disappearing. I guess this is boring for people. But let me show you one more picture of this, and then I'll wrap up on this. This is my grandfather in his uniform in the early 1920s. There you go. Check it out. Look at those boots and how the pants are bloused inside the boots. Yeah, check it out. That's my grandfather in the Army. Yep. Anyway, folks, that's a little bit about the genealogy. I hope that was interesting. I don't think it was for some people because apparently they left. But yeah, for those of you who are interested in it, enjoyed it, I hope that you found it interesting and useful for me to share that information with you. What I'm going to do is go back and check on something very quickly here. Oh, yeah, we've dropped off a lot. Yeah, everybody left at 1 o'clock. We're down about half our audience from 1 o'clock because people, I guess, ran off to watch a Conscious Caracal. I didn't know he was streaming. Anyway, so there you go, folks. Anyway, I hope that was interesting and appealing to you. Let me catch up on the chat very quickly. Let's see. How long did you... Okay, I did that. The band Soft Machine had a guy with the surname Wyatt. Maybe he was one of your grandfathers. I don't know that band. Let's see. Rolf says, I forgot to turn my tape recorder. Can you please repeat the info about your great-grandfather? Kilometers per hour says, wow. Chris has a photograph of memory, as in your grandfather being linked to space engineering. Yeah, it is pretty cool. Enjoy the stream. Too sad to listen now. Received my mom's headstone today. Sorry, La Dolce Vita. Passed away a day after my birthday. That sucks. Our condolences, La Dolce Vita. Wow, that's sad to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. Best of wishes to you and your family. Really sorry to hear that. Where do you store all that data in your head? Yeah, well, that's why Viking Boar, I find it, it's so comical when trolls come on and people come on here. And number one, they're disrespectful. Not to be arrogant, but I'm not a 22-year-old, and I grew up to respect your elders, and I've never thought of myself as an elder, but at 55, I guess I am an elder, and I guess I truly am a graybeard. So, out of respect for people, you should respect them when you disagree with them, all people, but certainly elders. And so when people act like, nasty leftist children in this channel, it's very annoying, but it's fine. You deal with it. And not to have a big head, but I am a retired colonel. I'm a colonel, and, I grew up, you show respect and deference to people who are senior to you, and it's why when people come on here, so that alone ought to get me a moment's peace to share things. But then people just attack you, and they attack you. Do they think that I just stumbled off the back of a truck last night, and I've never spent any time in life learning things, developing things, researching things, doing analysis, coming up with solutions, and being right most of the time? No, they don't care. They just shout you down and call you names. And I find it comical. But it is the sad state of the world today that many people behave that way. I store it all in my head, that's for sure. Jordan says, your family has such a rich history. Jordan, that's just my grandfather, my great-grandfather. I haven't even talked about my 7 great-great-grandfathers who fought in the Civil War, all for Union regiments in Maryland and West Virginia, all 7 of them. They had 8 great-great-grandfathers who were eligible to serve in that war. 1 was too old, so he didn't serve, but he could have served because older people did volunteer. But 7 served, and all served for the Union. In Maryland, which was a border state, and many people fought for the South, my great-great-grandfathers fought for the North, and in West Virginia, which broke away from Virginia so that they could not be part of the slaveholding state. Yeah, so, and the American Revolution, the War of 1812, the little drummer boy from the Battle of High Point outside Baltimore, famous is my ancestor. American Revolution, I have ancestors who fought in the American Revolution, all these wars going back to the French and Indian War. And then, of course, going back to Europe, I have ancestors, lots of kings and royalty. I haven't even gotten to that. So we all have fascinating history, folks. And that's my point of this whole story. It's not to boast, go, ooh, look at all these people that are related to me. No, no, no. The questions were asked. I've addressed them. And my point here is that we all have interesting stories. Ladies and gentlemen, if you look back in the history of your family and you record it, you will find so many times that you are so lucky to be here. You, as you exist today, the way you appear, the way you look, the way you think, you are so lucky to even exist. I have ancestors where the women in wealthy families in England had no children into their mid-40s. A woman in my ancestry was 46, 47 when she gave birth to her first child, who was my ancestor. Had she not been able to bear that child in the 13th century, 14th century, in the 1300s, at the age of 46, having a child, can you imagine? Most people are dead by the age of 46. She had her first child ever. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. If it wasn't for great fortune and luck, at the Battle of the Wilderness, I think it was, or maybe it was Antietam, my great-great-grandfather, William Bear Grimes, was marching in formation with soldiers in formation abreast, shoulder to shoulder, carrying their rifles, marching towards the Confederate lines. The Confederates fired a volley. The guy on his left, the guy on his right. Both of them took a round right in the center of their head and dropped dead instantly. But for a little wind or a different aim, that could have been my great-great-grandfather, and I would not exist. Now, if you want to make your noggin scramble, think about stuff like that. That's what makes genealogy fascinating. I haven't even talked about my grandfather and his burial and what happened there. That's a fascinating story too. Which one is it? Anyway, my great grandfather on a different side, but I've got another one, and his story of how he my Grimes great grandfather. So that's a whole other story. Yeah. So Tammy says, I'm trying to trace my family back. It's so interesting for me. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you this question, okay? Let me ask this question. And what I will do is I'll do this, okay? I will consider making a live stream about genealogy. I'll make a segment of my channel about genealogy. What do you think about that? We'll make it a 30-minute segment, and I'll announce it, and it'll be Chris on family history. And what do you think? You guys like that? And then it'll be a digestible. It'll be no opening music. It'll just be like, welcome to Chris White Africa. And I'll start talking, and I'll show you things on the screen, and I'll talk about software. I'll talk about techniques and methods, and we'll do 30-minute segments. But I'll do a live stream so that you can ask questions rather than just do a prepared video, because the prepared video is not particularly good. Hendo likes it. Okay, we got 1 thumbs up. So that's what I'll do. Look at this, me ever expanding. Now, if I can only turn that into money. No, I'm just kidding. The world needs more elders to speak. Young people need this guidance and wisdom. Yeah, well, not all elders are wise, but yes, I agree with it in general. True respect, having the ice cold Hansa. Ooh, Hansa, there you go. Good stuff. Andrew, are you in Namibia? Chris, someone should do a doctorate looking at what happens in people's brain when they absorb an ideology that provokes self-righteousness against other sane folk just for getting on with life. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, folks are saying they like it. Okay. So, Tammy Gossa says, yes, please. Woohoo. Killing Miss Brower would like that. Tion's giving the salute there. And Olaf says thumbs up. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's 5 responses out of 42 people here. 6 responses out of 42 people. 63 likes. If you can start pushing the like button up for me, that'd be awesome. And get some more likes. So if there's 63 likes, can we get it? You know, I'm always looking over here because I have a second screen, by the way, in case you didn't realize that. I'm not staring off into the distance. So I'm looking at the 64 likes. Thank you so much for that. Viking Boar gave a 1. I guess that's a yes. Yeah, what's with the Cape Town thing? Anyway, look, 6 of you said yes. I'll do it. We'll see how it goes. Oh, 7. There's Andrew. So that's 7. That's enough. Out of 42, that's enough for percentage for me to say it's worthwhile. I will start making a genealogy segment for the channel. And what I can also do is I can make it a call-in, but we'd have to limit it to 1 or 2 callers or just for a couple of minutes so I can answer a quick question. Because 30 minutes, if you're waiting for someone to call in, if they're having trouble with their computer and stuff like that. The Flying Boar is back. Indian South Africans, are they rich as white farmers and evicted from the land too? There are plenty of wealthy Indians in South Africa. There's also plenty of middle-income Indians in South Africa. But there are Indian farmers, particularly in KwaZulu-Natal, and that's where that 26-year-old woman was butchered about a month ago near Weeping. Yeah, thank you for the $5 super chat, Flying Boar. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Renee says, I'll watch it. Okay, cool. Is it Renee? Did I pronounce that correctly? Yeah, so they some are wealthy, others aren't. Some work in the timber industry, some work in the sugar industry and things like that, and they own farms. And some are quite wealthy, but not all of them are. Yeah, genealogy says Rolf. Cool. I think we got it settled there. Okay, folks. What I'm going to do then is I'm gonna call it here. But before I call it, let me go back because I had a super sticker from Robin earlier, and now a super chat from the Flying Boar. It's awesome. I'm glad to see you there, Flying Boar. Let me see. I'm going to go ahead and pull this up and make sure I give credit. Also, let's see if anybody's joined. I didn't see new memberships earlier, so I'm going to take a look at that, see what we've got there. But I'm glad you guys find it interesting. I find genealogy, family history fascinating. And I'll tell you, Afrikaners and their family history. Many families that got their history all the way back to when they came from France, or they came from the Netherlands, or they came from Germany. And I find that absolutely fascinating. That stuff is awesome, and it's really impressive. So, you know, a lot of those histories are really well documented, like the de Villiers family, de Klerks. Many families have documented these things quite well way back. So let me look real quick what we got. By the way, folks, we went over 7,300 subscribers. And I should tell you this. One of the reasons about subscriber growth, why it slows down a little bit, let me explain this. So finally, YouTube has given me useful statistics. They tell you how many subscribers you add. They never tell you how many you lose. It's fascinating to me that people subscribe to a channel and then unsubscribe to it. Unless you're angry or they did something that irritates you, why would you unsubscribe? It doesn't cost you any money, but people do. So in the last 28 days, I've gained 1,500 subscribers and I've lost 497. So I have about 1,000 gain in subscribers over the last month. And that's strange. Why have 500 people left the channel? So it makes you wonder what the deal is. But to me, it's just people are just not serious. They're just fly by. They heard one thing they liked. They signed up for it and they never watch it and they just clean up their stuff. Oh, I've lost 2 members of the channel. They didn't renew, I guess. Strange. Anyway, so super chat. So see, there you go. There's 2 people I probably lost. Those are paying members. All right, so for this stream, we had a couple super chats. Let me cover this real quick, and then we'll get out of here. Robin gave a super sticker saying next time because she had to go take care of her little one. And then the Flying Board just gave a $5 super chat asking a question about Indians in South Africa. Right, okay, folks. Cool beans. Yep. What's this? We'll have to ask around to find friends and family to listen to for the ancestry talks. Okay, cool. That'd be good. All right. Cool. Well, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to call it right here, folks. Just short of 2 hours. I'll be back. Those that want to watch Ronaldo Hos, feel free to go over to his channel at the top of the hour. If you want to go back and watch Conscious Caracal, that's available too. I don't know if Joe Emilio's on right now. I haven't seen. I think he's busy. It's true that one should talk to your family and get information. My folks are both gone, and now I'm starting to wonder about our family history and have no clue where to start. Well, Ronald, come back, and I'll help you get started. I'll tell you how to get started when I do my inaugural 30-minute stream for this. Now, I'm going to have to pick a time when it works because I already got these 2 streams here, so it's going to have to be a useful time. So maybe earlier in the day. I'll try an earlier in the day stream. We'll see how that goes. Andrew, you never know, Chris. You might find out we're related. My ancestors are from Europe. Father's English. My mother's Dutch. A lot of countries British. That's true. Watch your video on Cape Town last night. What will happen next? I don't. You mean in Cape Town? The evictions will stop, or they'll be charged with crimes, and the SAPs will go arrest them. So Cape Town will have to stop doing the evictions. The problem here, folks, is that these judges have said that if a person occupies a property for 48 hours, you have no right to evict them. Well, that's a problem. So that means that anyone who owns property or land is going to have people patrolling it 24 hours a day so they can kick people off the land and call the police before 48 hours happens. Otherwise, they lose rights to their land. So it's theft. That's bizarre, but that's the situation we have. Thank you, Flying Board, for the $5 Canadian Super Chat. Again, I appreciate that. That's a back-to-back one. I hope that answers the question. I'll be back later on for the Night Owls edition, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. God bless, and thanks for helping me come to the realization that I should do a genealogy stream. So we'll get into that. That should be cool. All right, and pay attention for that. That'll be coming up soon. No song to go out. Just going to close. Thanks a lot, folks, for being with me on the channel today, and have a lovely afternoon or evening wherever you find yourself. And for those who can join me, I'll see you a little bit later on. Ciao.